Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures here with a response video because I've been tagged. This set of tag videos was actually started by Billy of the Game Chasers, who nominated 3 people. One of those was Michael B, the Game Genie, who nominated edt1138, a good long-term friend of mine on YouTube, but so is Mike B, the Game Genie as well, and he tagged me. And basically the tag is 5 random gaming facts you don't know or you don't care about me. So it's not a specific list of questions, it's just 5 random facts about my gaming history that you don't care about.
1.
So number 1, I actually worked in a game store. Now depending on which videos of mine, you may already know this, but back when I was a mid to late teenager, we had a local game store called Let's Play Games. Very good name for a game store. Now back then, a game store like that had maybe some Atari and some Intellivision, but it was mainly actual physical box games and war games and things like that. And I actually really liked that sort of thing, and used to love going in that store and looking at everything. Not so much at the video games at that stage, but used to go in there all the time with a couple of my mates, and we used to be talking about computers because that was the stage where I was doing computer courses at college, and he wanted to get computers in his store because he knew they were going to be a big thing. And basically he showed me the brochures and we talked about the computers, and that eventually led to a part-time job that Christmas that came up there, where I was just basically packing shelves and helping out and everything like that, and it turned out into a job where actually I started working more at the store and doing less college, so my college took longer. But I worked there for quite a period of time, went away, did other things, came back and worked there again. So I actually worked at that game store over different periods of places they moved to, and different technology, always looking after the computers. And one particular skill that I developed there was the little Game & Watches. We had them under a counter at the front of the store, and I used to demonstrate them to customers, and I could actually play them upside down and get a decent score. So I'd show them to the customer and play them upside down so they could see how the game was played. And I sold lots of them. Also underneath that glass area was a whole lot of chess machines, and yeah, I could beat most of them.
2.
Right, so number 2, I never actually owned any of the early consoles. So when I talk about, now we did have as a family a little Hanimex Pong unit that had a couple of bike games in it. That was bought for one Christmas, but that was our only electronic device in our house for a very long time. Atari, I used to ride on my bicycle 5 kilometres to my friend's place to be able to play Atari at his place. Had a lot of fun playing Atari, and it brings back a lot of memories. I always wanted one. I even entered in a competition where you get the little paddle pop sticks and you send them in. We actually thought we had the right paddle pop stick, sent them in, and they said one of them was not the right thing, so they sent us a cricket poster. Suffice to say, we were very disappointed. That was myself and the same friend that actually went in there and combined our paddle pop sticks. But his parents felt guilty, or that he wanted an Atari so much, so he got one for Christmas. So I used to go around there a lot and play his Atari. And in television, I have a lot of fond memories of that, because my next door neighbour had an Intellivision, because they were the rich people in the neighbourhood, so they could afford an Intellivision, and their kids were actually quite young, and being mid-teenager, I went next door and looked after them for a little while the parents went out, and that's when I got to play Intellivision, and you know, formed an early fondness with those machines. And it's sort of the same with the ColecoVision. I sold lots of ColecoVision in the store that I worked in. And I got the Coleco adapter for my Spectra Video computer, but I never owned one for quite a period of time. I did get one later, but you know, I didn't own one there.
3.
Okay, my next fact is why I started collecting. Now, in general principle, with my computers, I have kept a computer where I didn't sell it to upgrade to another one. So I started out with a TI-99/4. I sold that and bought my original Spectre Video 318. I sold that to buy a Spectre Video 328, and then I kept that and bought a Spectre Video 728, which is the first MSX machine by Spectre Video. I sold that and bought my 738 Express, which is the machine I programmed all my games on. Same thing, kept that, and at the same time I got into Atari ST. I bought a second-hand Atari 8-bit computer. I sold the Atari 8-bit computer and disk drives and everything like that. Unfortunately, I didn't keep that, and I did keep the Atari ST. I've still got that one. And during the I never had a Sega Master System back in the day, but I sold them in the store and I played them in the store, and I used to love one and wanted one. Never really played one at a friend's place though. Both the Sega Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo I owned because I ran my actual own comic book store, and we had a couple of video game consoles there, including an Atari Jaguar. I owned them, and I used to. The kids could pay so much money for so many minutes to play on the games, and we did have games for sale in a small section of the shop as well. But I never actually sold the console, so they were my consoles. Unfortunately, I sold the Atari Jaguar when I shut the store down because they were actually hard to get, and somebody talked me out of it. My brother-in-law bought my Mega Drive, and 6 months later I bought one back. The Super Nintendo, the one over there, is actually my original Super Nintendo, so it still hasn't actually answered the question. What I'm basically saying, what started me collecting. So all of this was all put away for a very long period of time. I've got four girls, 4 children, and they're all of different ages. So I've been a busy family person for quite some time, and then I started finding that I was having some time where 4 girls and mother, they go off and do things, and I actually had time to myself again, and I started getting things out of my storage shed, which is some of the retro computers, but the main catalyst that started me collecting was that original friend who I went to his place to play Atari showed up one day because he was leaving the state. He actually moved to Canberra, and he showed up with a box, and in that box was the original Atari 2600 that we used to play on, and all his games, controllers and everything like that, and that got me back into the Atari. And then I found a deal on the Atari XEGS, which is over there, with a whole bunch of games, so that got me my Atari 8-bit system back. And once you start that, and previous to that, many years ago, before, probably about over 10-11 years ago, I actually found a TI-99/4A, and that's where I got that back. So not my original, because I had a TI-99/4. So, and it just started, building from there. I'd seen Saturns back in the day, liked them, and always wanted one, so I got a Saturn and I started buying games for it, and it just grew from there. And of course MSX, I've still had the MSX machines all this time, and just gradually picked up the games over quite a few years. So you can probably say the collection here is probably about 10 years worth for a lot of the stuff. Some of the stuff goes back to the original, so all the PlayStation 2 stuff is original, plus extra games that I've picked up along the way.
4.
And the next fact is I actually do play modern games. Now when I say modern, I don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One. We do have a Wii U in the family, and I have played some of the games, but I don't play it very much. I have a PS3 and an Xbox 360. I definitely prefer the PS3. It's just what I'm used to. I went up from a PlayStation 2 to a PlayStation 3. It's just the console that I'm used to. We've got 2 PlayStation 3s in each of the 2 living rooms we've got, and we use them as media players. And the Xbox 360 is a rubbish media player, let's put it that way. The games are probably fine, but because they're on the 2 main PCs, that's the system that I gravitate for. So I actually do have quite a large library of PS3 games, and I've probably played about half of them. I have quite a large backlog because I continue to buy them because I'm interested in a lot of these games that I've missed out on. But I do like to play games reasonably through to completion before I move on to the next one. So the current game I'm playing, which I'm going to think about that at the moment, I haven't actually touched the PS3 for a while. We have got a Lego Batman 3, and I started that one recently, so that's the game I'm playing at the moment.
5.
Okay, and the next and last fact is I used to hold a world record. Now, take it with context. This is a world record pre-internet, and validated by an Australian authority. But I held the world record on Sequest for the Atari 2600, and it's one of the Activision games. I just used to play it a lot in the store, and one day I got a really high score, took a picture, sent it in to the Australian version of the Activision Club, and I got a badge. I don't know where that badge is, unfortunately, or the letter. I'm sure it's somewhere, although we did have some boxes. When we moved to this house, we had a whole lot of boxes that were damaged by water, or lost. I'm missing a whole computer. My Spectrum got missed in that lot. But yeah, I held the world record for Atari Sequest. I did set an even higher score probably about a year ago. Another fella has beaten me, and I haven't had another chance to have a go at it. I also held for the entire period of 1 week the highest score on Tutankhamun, but once again, local Australian score, I have no clue whether that actually was the world at the time. Another game that I get that I held for, I mean, I don't count these as much as Sequest, because Sequest I held for a very long time and I got an official badge, is Time Pilot Arcade as well. Yeah, I can still get quite a decent score on Time Pilot, but nothing close to the score you can see on Twin Galaxies at the moment. Not that Twin Galaxies is working anymore. Alright, hope you've enjoyed these 5 random facts that you probably didn't want to know about me, about retro gaming, and now I should tag some other people. Let's spread this around a little bit. How about we go for Lawn Boys Post 1975, Lactobacillus Prime. I'm sorry, I'll tag you every time, Mark. And over in the US, let's go for the other side of the pond, and let's go for Kit. That's okay. I added that. I'll put the list down there because my memory's being vague at the moment. So you 3 guys are tagged. I'll put a link down below and things. I'll also put a link to both Ed's, Michael B, the Genie's, and Billy's original video if you want to go watch those. Tags are good fun, good way to get the community talking and responding. And tag videos are pretty easy to make. You don't need to do too much editing. Alright, I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.